Hey guys, it's Andrea. I'm out here in the garden today and I'm so happy because today I'm able to give you a garden tour. It's actually the end of June and at the end of May everything was so small, but everything is starting to grow better now and it's getting warmer, so I think that's why everything is doing really good. But I just wanted to come out and show you the garden. So some of my tomatoes are doing better than others. A lot of these are varieties that I have never grown because I ordered a seed packet from M.I. Gardener at the end of last year when they had their seeds on sale, and it was a packet of different seeds. And so most of the tomatoes are tomatoes that they gave me in that packet when I bought it. So a lot of them I haven't grown and I don't know what the taste of them is or anything like that. But these right here on this row, which it goes all the way down this row right here. So these are Peron sprayless is the type of tomato that these are. And this one's actually reaching the fence, so I tied it up. I haven't tied up any of these yet, but some of my other tomatoes I've tied a few times. And then on this back row here in each bed, I have sunflowers. And so I have it on opposite on each one. I have two varieties planted. One is the mammoth sunflower and the other one is the chocolate cherry sunflower, which are my favorite. They are a very dark cherry color. Some of them that I grew last year were actually black, but I did save some seeds from those and they came up over in the other bed over here, and they're not cherry, they're yellow. So they must have cross-pollinated with the mammoth that I grew last year. And then on the other side of this bed, I have two Sugar Rush Peach peppers that came up. I planted more than that, but none of the other ones came up, so that's all there is. And then I've got these green onions right here that I've already chopped, and they're growing back. And then in the front of both of these beds, I do have some oregano. I've got two different varieties of oregano right here that I planted from seed, but they're actually coming up. And so I will see what happens with those. Hopefully they will get really big. On each of the edges of these beds, I have bachelor's button, and one of them is pink and one of them is black, and they're starting to bud, so that will be nice. And then in this bed right here, I have these are actually flowering already, and these are cherry. These are yellow gooseberry tomatoes, these big ones right here. At the end is some Tommy Toe, and then I have a couple of black cherry tomatoes in here. And then these peppers that are down here, they're along this line right here. These are actually serrano peppers. I decided that I wanted to do serrano peppers instead of jalapenos this year so that I could have those for my salsas. And then on the other side over here is a great looking tomatillo. There's, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 over here, and they're starting to flower, so they're looking really good. And then back here on the other side, I have some marigolds planted right behind the tomatoes, and then I do have some okra back there too. I plant the Clemson spineless because it's just the one that's always produced for me, and before I knew about all these different varieties of okra and different kinds of things, those are the ones that I planted. So I have just continued to plant those because we like them. In this bed, the tomatoes are starting to get bigger. I was concerned about these because actually these are my favorite tomato. These are the Kellogg's breakfast tomato, and they're a yellow tomato, kind of like a beefsteak, and they're my absolute favorite tasting tomato. So I have grown these before, but they are kind of behind a lot of the different ones that I have in here. And then I have some lemon basil right here. And these peppers, these are a sweet pepper. I don't remember the name, but I'll have to go look. But they're looking pretty good. And then on the back side, I have yellow carrots and some more green onions. And I have one green zebra tomato down here just because I heard other people talking about it and how it looks so interesting. So I planted one of those, and then I've got some, I believe they're called Tappy's Heritage tomatoes down there at the end that are growing. I actually planted Marglobe tomatoes, and only one of them came up, and it's looking pretty pitiful. So I did go ahead and I bought starts at the store, and these are Celebrity. So I've tied these twice, and they are growing really good. I've never tried Celebrity tomato, so I'm not sure how it will taste, but I know that it's supposed to produce a lot of tomatoes, and it's determinate, so that's why I have it on these bamboo poles. So now we're gonna go to the back row of beds, and I'll show you what's going on over there. So in this bed, I have more determinate tomatoes, and that's why I just have the bamboo sticks. And these are the New Yorker. And I was really concerned about these because they were really small for a good while, but they're starting to grow, so I'm hopeful that they'll produce something. And then I do have some zucchini in the back corner. I have 3 zucchini plants. And then I've got some Georgia Candy Roaster squash over here. And I did plant some little, I believe they're little green peppers. They're like a banana pepper, but spicier. And I planted some of those. And then on the end of this bed right here, I have some dahlias that I planted from seed that I'm super excited to see those flowers. And I have straw flowers. This is what little squash bug eggs look like. So I've been coming out and picking those off on my squash plant and killing them, just crushing them. In this bed, I have the biggest tomatoes that I have as of yet, so that's a good sign. There's some little eggs on it. I don't know if those are more squash bugs or a different kind of bug, but I'm gonna take those off. These are pink oxheart tomatoes, and I'm really excited about those because I think that they looked really pretty in the picture, and I've never grown them. And I'm trying to grow more tomatoes that I can that aren't so, that are more pasty. And so I've got pink oxheart tomatoes all the way down this. On the other side, I have strike green beans, and then I put some cushaw squash over there also. And then I have 3 zucchini plants right back here too that I've already picked 1 zucchini, and I think there's another one that's ready. And then in the front right here, I have nasturtiums, and they are blooming beautifully. Lots of pretty flowers. And they smell floral. When you eat them, they don't necessarily taste floral, but they smell floral. They smell good. And then I have more of a sweet kind of pepper out here in front of the nasturtiums. In this bed, the tomatoes aren't doing they're not as big, but they are growing. And so I've got Ace 55 tomatoes right here. And on the other side right here is Rutgers tomatoes. And then I've got more tomatillos. They're not as big as the ones in the other bed, but I'm sure they'll get there. And they've got flowers on them. They're looking good. And then I've got more sweet peppers right here. And on this side, that's all bushy and beautiful and amazing, those are Blue Lake bush beans. And they've got a lot of flowers and a lot of beans starting to come on, so I'm really happy about that. And then on this bed, I have some black nebula carrots right here. And then these are the peppers that we planted a while ago, actually. They are the bell peppers. So, and they suffered for a while, actually. They were not doing good, but they have started to look nicer now. And then I have tomatoes here on this fence, Bonnie's Best tomatoes, and they haven't grown a lot, but they're starting to get there. And then on the other side of the bed here, on the other side of this little fence, is my jade bush beans. And they have lots of flowers and beans on them as well. So we're about to be getting a lot of green beans. So that is really good. And then in this bed here are onions that I planted from seed, but since I have been letting these guys out, they basically got in there and tore a bunch of stuff up. So that's how that goes. I had to let them out though so that they could get some fresh grass and bugs because feed has been expensive lately. And then this whole row of pots here, these are actually Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, and so they are a black bean that is a drying bean, and I am super happy about that one, super excited. I've got them growing up the fence here, and a lot of them have reached the top already. So I also have another little spot right here that I had to put a little fence up on so that the birds wouldn't get in here. But I've got some more flowers here. I love flowers. These are a Thumbelina, zinnia. And then this is yarrow. And some echinacea. And all of the borage is flowering. The bees love borage. I'm over here in the cinder block bed now, and in this bed right here, I have some jade bush beans planted, and I've already harvested beans off of these twice. And then in this bed, these are contender, and I've harvested off of these twice also, but they're not really my favorite, and I love jade beans. They are delicious. They're the ones that I grew last year, and I grew Blue Lake last year. But this year I am trying also, I tried the contender, and I'm also gonna try the strike bean because I've heard that on YouTube, I've watched other people's gardens, and they say that the strike bean is a really good bean, really productive, tastes really good. So I'm also trying that one. And that's why I like garden tours like this, and why I like watching other people do them, is so that I can see all the seeds and plants that they're using, and I might try some. And that's how I've gotten a lot of my ideas to try different things, is from watching other people and seeing what they have. And it doesn't always work as good in different areas or for different circumstances, but I still like to try, and it's interesting to know. Probably need to come out here and pick some again. Looks like there's a few that are ready. But that's a jade. And it probably, these were like buried by the potato plants that were in here for a while. And so they kind of got leggy and then fell over. So I think that if it was just in a bush habitat, it didn't get so tall and then fall, that these would be straight, because it's kind of, these were hitting the ground. And so they're not too straight. And then these are the contender, and they're not doing as good. I just picked beans off of this one a couple of days ago. But here's one. So this one is contender, and the one on this one is jade. And then we come down here to another bed, and these are the, I'm not exactly sure, I don't know the name of these beans, but I will find out and put it up here. They're dried beans, so they're gonna be left on here until they dry out, and then I'll shell them. and they'll be a dried bean. And they're black and white. They kind of look like, oh, they're orca. I think they have a different name on the seed bag, but I think people also call them orca. They're a really pretty bean. I thought I would give them a try. I saw it on somebody else's YouTube video when they were doing their like seeds that they were planting this year. And then this is a Better Boy. I did buy this at the store also, and it's looking pretty good. And then these are all my cucumbers. These down here are bush cucumbers, and so they only get like 2 feet long, and I planted those last year in the fall garden, and I really liked them. They made good pickles, so I planted them again here for the spring. And then the ones along the fence, those are going to climb. Those are Boston pickling cucumbers, and I really like those for pickles also. And then over here is my absolute just favorite flowers, and they are going crazy. Look at those echinacea. They're beautiful. And some of these actually have huge. These are huge. But these bloom all summer. And this is the just regular echinacea. This isn't any special kind. It's just the regular medicinal echinacea. And I planted it by seed 3 years ago. And there was 4 plants that I had that survived when I seeded them. And then every year when I take it down, all their seeds blow they just fly everywhere, and I've got echinacea coming up everywhere. This right here, I did not plant this. This is echinacea that's in this other bed. And you can see how they fall, and then when these dry, those seeds will be right there. This is echinacea. These over here that are in the ground, I did not plant those. Those are from a previous year. And then all of these here are also echinacea. And so usually what I do with those echinacea is I just let them grow where they come up that first year. And then the second year, next year on these new little seedlings, I'll transplant them somewhere else where it's not in the middle of a garden bed. But those back there, I just love those. And this here is parsley, and I'm letting it go to seed this year because I love parsley, and I plant parsley every single year. These are all the little seeds that we planted. These are the radishes and collards. They've come up. They've got some time to grow. This is a volunteer sunflower right here. It's the chocolate cherry. It's about to flower. And then this one over here, I also thought was a chocolate cherry, but it's more of a yellow color. And it's got lots of blooms on it, which I love. And then I have 2 volunteer tomatoes right here, and I know what kind they are because they come up every year in the same spot, and I go ahead and I let them grow. And so if you were looking for a cherry tomato, this is the Super Sweet 100. This is also a Super Sweet 100. I have one growing in this exact same spot last year that I did not plant, and it came back. And they produce so many cherry tomatoes that you can't get them all, or at least I don't get them all, and they fall, and I just let some fall so that they'll come up the next year. And then I've got some basil here. These are different kinds of basil, and those are also Better Boy tomatoes back there, and they actually have my first tomatoes, which is amazing. Even though they're like really small, I think it's because this spot is really shady. And then I've got some more borage here. It's about to flower. All right, y'all, I got rained out last night. It started pouring when I was making that video. I barely made it inside before it started pouring really hard. So I'm just coming out here today to finish off the video and look at these beautiful flowers. And I hope that y'all would share also what you like what seeds do you grow? What is something new that you found that you liked that maybe you didn't know about? I think it's really fun to share seeds and different varieties because there's so many different varieties and we wouldn't be able to know about all of them unless we shared what we grow in our garden. So I thank y'all for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe and share what you're growing in your garden. I'll talk to y'all on the next one.